someone who I really respect as a journalist. I would even say a humanitarian, although I have to admit I don't know him that well. But I'm just going to assume he is. Omid Scobie. Omid Scobie. Well, I have a theory that on occasion, if you talk for a living, you're going to say something that kind of gets away from you. And I'm not saying for sure that that's exactly what happened, but Omid Scobie apparently was giving an interview or doing I guess it was a documentary, and he spoke about Meghan's mentioning that Archie would never be a prince. They refused to make Archie a prince. So, of course, I'm no expert on the ways of the British Empire, but I am a bit of an Anglophile, so I do follow a lot of that stuff. Just to give you a little background, my first name is Baron. It's not a title, it just happens to be my name. I always say my mother was going through her regal stage when I got that name, and so anyway, I acquired the name Baron at birth. So Omid Scobie said that Meghan may have been wrong to suggest Archie should have been given the title of prince, admits Omid Scobie, but he still insists there is more to the story. Well, there's a lot more to the story, and I do have some ideas about it. The idea that Archie would have been given the title, or should have been given the title of prince at birth, as I understood it, I don't think that that was exactly what's supposed to happen. However, the Queen has the ability to confer that title upon Archie at any time. Otherwise, Archie would become a prince of the realm when the Queen dies. I mean, that very day when the Queen passes away and effectively Charles is the King of England and Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland and all the other territories and such. Instantly, Archie becomes a prince. And not only that, so does Meghan. That's how I understood it. Meghan, effectively, her job is Princess of the Realm, even though she's stepped back from duty. But in case you don't know it, Meghan is Princess Henry. So Meghan is already a princess. But that's not the style or the title that she uses at this time. Right now, she's the Duchess of Sussex, Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex. So, as I understand from as I understood from the Oprah interview, is that during the conversation, and mind you, I'm just doing this from memory, I haven't seen that again. Um, CBS has not made it, downloadable or anything like that so far. But as I understood, Meghan's grievance was the idea that someone mentioned to Harry, how dark do you think the baby will be, and what do you think that'll look like? Now, the person who said it to Harry obviously was interested in shaking Harry to the core by saying this to him. Who would be so malicious to do something like that? I don't know, a sibling? And there's only two of them. But I would say a sibling would be so bold and so malicious. Not all siblings get along. I have intimate knowledge of that. Not all siblings get along. So, we're going to assume that his brother said that to him, right? And so the other thing is, he won't ever, am I saying that like Betty Davis? He won't ever be a prince of the realm. And of course, I think according to the rules that when the queen dies, that's supposed to happen. But it's really up to the sovereign to give those titles to whoever she wants in the family. And I think that it's constitutional for her, or in this case for Charles, if that happens, to confer those titles to anyone they choose. And I believe that's the reason why Beatrice and Eugenie are princesses of the realm, is because that happened when they were born, because the queen was already the sovereign. And if she wasn't the sovereign when her father died, then automatically they would become princesses. And from what I recall, Andrew was very pushy about trying to get his daughters more involved in royal duty or service. And Charles was adamant that I am going to shrink this family down. I'm going to slim down the monarchy. So effectively, Beatrice and Eugenie got real jobs using all the clout of the Windsor family. They got jobs. So that's one thing. And from what I'm going to just say it because I'm really dancing around it, and I don't want to parse my words, but it would take a sibling to say something like that. It would take a sibling to dress you down. Someone who's always been, I'll just say, jealous of your popularity and athleticism. Someone who's always kind of held a bit of a grudge against you. And I'm not saying that that's exactly what's going on, but let's assume that it is, right? The other thing is, it was reported, and so I'm allegedly this happened. It was reported that William told Harry, "Are you sure? Don't you think you should wait?" And Harry's like, "No, this is the one." Now, I'm going to assume that William is good with math. I'm going to assume that Harry is good with math. And so to say that to Harry, who's always been awkward in the royal family, even though he was very successful as a royal, he was always very awkward about the idea of doing royal service. Because of his childhood, because of the loss of his mother, he kind of wanted out of the institution. And he's inferred that on several occasions. Nobody wants this. Nobody in the family wants this. And when he said that they're all trapped, and that they're trapped and they don't know it, I believe that's true. It's out of a sense of duty. Everything is done out of a sense of duty. And they turn on each other out of a sense of duty. They're horrible to newcomers out of a sense of duty. So, they did it to Fergie, they did it to Diana, and now Meghan. How dare you step into this family? It even happened to Philip. And you could say, well, maybe the Queen didn't give Philip as much protection and cover as he needed. So, okay, if that's the case, then that type of behavior really runs in the family. The firm always comes first. The crown comes first. So, yes, I believe that probably happened, that William had that conversation. But when I mentioned math, this is the problem with that. If Meghan is in her mid to late 30s and Harry is in his early to mid 30s, and this is obviously the woman that he loves, and the woman who, out of, let's see, this is the third time that he got close to marriage, and he eventually married her. She said, yeah, I'm willing to take this on. And so, Rachel Zane, to the rescue. That character that Meghan played was the character that they were hoping to present to the world. But Meghan was Rachel Zane before that character was ever created. Because, Meghan's a badass. So I believe that there were conversations had, and I believe that maybe William was trying to stall this process. Yeah, just wait 10 years, 11 years, like I did with Kate, and then decide. Well, if that would have happened, when were they supposed to start a family? You see why that's so messed up? Now, I can only think if that conversation happened and William really said that to Harry, what he was saying is, yeah, marry her later on, but for God's sakes, don't have any kids. That's my assumption. That allegedly happened. That was the conversation, and that was the purpose of it. Don't bring any of those kids into this family. And then once it was finalized, well, what do you think the kid's going to look like? I can only think of one person who would have been bold enough to say that. I would never suspect Charles of that. Now, of course, the U-boat captain, if you know who she is, I would assume that, there would be no doubt. But she's not relevant enough to say that to Harry. It would have to be someone close enough to him to hurt him. And I say it was his brother. Okay? I'll just say that. The only person close enough to him to hurt him like that would be his brother. And the person that he loves and trusts the most, his wife, he was obviously speaking out loud, thinking out loud. And all of these things were adding up to, we got to get the hell out of here. Our child is not wanted in this family. And I believe that. I believe that. If you're an African American, then you know, especially with Barack Obama and so many other African Americans who managed to rise above their circumstances and become senators or mayors of some of the biggest cities in the country or governors. When that happens, there's a particular type of death threat that has nothing to do with policy, and it has everything to do with that African blood. And I believe that that's exactly what happened. Now, whether or not I'll go out on a limb and say, hey, anybody in that family in particular is a racist, aside from the U-boat captain, I'm not ready to make that call. But I will say this much. I believe that a sibling is the person who's in the best position to hurt you the worst. And I believe that was the intent, was to discourage Harry from getting married, to undermine Harry's ability to have a child with Meghan, let alone two. And also damage to the brand. I think that they may have seen this as potential damage to the brand. And who would be in a position to do that? Well, the only person who could be in that position is his brother. I don't suspect Charles. I don't think Charles is that kind of person. I think Charles doesn't give enough protection to the people in his life. Not even Camilla. Even when Camilla was being hounded by the press, there was no protection for her. They removed the HRH title from Diana. There was no protection for her. And then Harry leaves the country, and his royal protection is removed. Now, given the day of the week, either the Queen is in charge or Charles is in charge. Like I say, it just depends on the day of the week. But between the two of them, and I'm just going to say Charles, between the two of them, Charles in charge was obviously not willing to lend protection to his son. You're out, you're out. And I think right along with that was someone else who had a vested interest. Now, you can take that any way you want, but there was someone else who was like, oh, there's no half in, half out. After Charles, I'm the next king. And if I was Harry, I'm telling you, I'd have got the hell out of there too. His leaving that family had nothing to do with the fact that Meghan was bullying him around. I don't believe that's the case. I believe he found a way out and he took it. And I believe that he wanted to make things work, but after those various conversations that allegedly occurred, there was no way to make it work. So, okay, we're up. We're out of here. So, and as for Omid Scobie, Omid, I don't think he threw Meghan under the bus. He spoke factually about exactly what the terms of those titles are. And, um, you know, I'll say this much. For Meghan, I don't think the titles are as important as the protection of her son. And so, if my son is an HRH, that would give him a certain ability to maintain a lifetime of protection. But without that HRH, Diana, Princess of Wales. That's the risk that you run. I mean, they're public figures. They're all of them live with their lives at risk. But in Meghan's case, Meghan knows exactly what I know, and that is when you have an African American involved in something like this, that would be Meghan. And then you have her son who also have that African blood. And there's and in concert with this, there's a white nationalism movement going on in all of the Western world, especially in the United States and the United Kingdom. I would want my son afforded that extra protection too. And that's what it's about. It's not just the title, it's the protection. And the Queen has the right to confer that title upon anyone in the family that she chooses. And whether or not she was coerced into refusing that title or if she just wants to let it happen. But she did step in for Charlotte. She did step in for Louis. She didn't wait. She made sure that they got their titles. So why not Archie? So Archie, as far as I understand, will become a prince when the Queen passes away. And that also includes Meghan. Meghan will become a princess. So whether it happens now or it happens later, but if it never happens, I think we all understand what that means. Anyway, I went a lot further than I expected. Please do look for my Patreon. I need your support. I'm trying to counter some of these negativities where the Sussexes are concerned, and also a place where we can, express our thoughts and feelings, which means please like and share, and also leave comments. And if there's anything in particular you'd like for me to speak about, I'll do my best to answer your questions or to actually do a video for that. And so let me know what you think, because this is kind of a touchy subject, and I may try to go ahead and dig out that video the best way I can so I can hear exactly what Meghan said and compare that to everything else that's going on. But don't be mad at Omid. Omid's a friend, but he's also a reporter, so he is wearing two hats. But Omid himself, I believe, is of mixed race, and he understands some of the things that Meghan is going through at this time. So be kind to him and stay open-minded. And as Meghan always says, no bad energy. Okay, thanks a lot, you guys.